I got invited to Square Enix office to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the Nintendo Switch 2 early, and it's a miracle. It's so impressive. It was so much fun, and I originally played Rebirth for the PlayStation 5, so I'll be able to provide you with a little bit of comparison. And you can see the footage here. Square Enix has graciously gifted me with some awesome B-roll from the event where me and my wife Aaliyah were invited to the office. It was so much fun. The Square Enix staff is incredibly kind as always. And the exciting part is a demo just dropped on the Switch 2 that you can play right now. So, you know, download it right now. Tell me if you agree. But my basic thought is this. I would say any slight visual differences between the PS5 Pro and the Switch 2 is 100% worth the amazing advantage of having it handheld and able to play it on a TV or a projector. It's such an amazing thing, and it's easily worth such a small trade-off in visual fidelity. Yeah, you can zoom in, you can get a magnifying glass and see like slight differences in the hair, a little bit of fuzziness here compared to like PS5 Pro. Again, PS5 Pro is a big difference. PS5 a lot less. So yeah, it's just absolutely worth. That's my quick review. If you don't know Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it is the second game in the FF7 remake trilogy project from Square Enix. It follows Cloud, Strife, Tifa Lockhart, Aerith Gainsborough, Barrett Wallace, all these iconic, amazing characters on their journey, leaving the city of Midgar to hunt down Sephiroth, the sort of main villain of the story. And this chapter of the story really opens up the world. FF7 Remake, the first part taking place completely in the city, and the second part taking place in this massive sections of geography for each section of the main narrative. But what makes this such a significant thing for the Nintendo Switch is not only was FF7 Remake Part 1 for PS4, so it was already like a lower fidelity game. This particular title is only PlayStation 5, FF7 Rebirth, and it's a massive world with tons of detail and everything. So as far as comparing the two, to see this running so well, it truly is insane to revisit this game in handheld. I think that's the most mind-blowing thing to me. A lot of people just like, oh, you know, as far as a console, Nintendo Switch, this and that. You forget that it's handheld console. And all these conversations people have about this sort of graphical fidelity comparisons to the PS5 and everything. The fact that you can play it like at the beach or on an airplane or something is absolutely insane. But it's on a console where you can also play Mario and all these amazing Nintendo first party things. So to have like that sort of, a lot of people talked about it with FF7 Remake first coming back to Nintendo. It's a really amazing moment to have Final Fantasy back on Nintendo consoles. In this case, again, because it's handheld is by large the biggest sort of advantage and the most exciting part of it for me, because, you know, I played it on PS5, I played it on a television or a projector. To have it, or on stream, to have it in this case in handheld is just such an amazing thing. Like to pop in a Queen's Blood match, like, I don't know, when you're at the train station waiting for the train or something, or you have 5 minutes, yeah, do a Queen's Blood match, run around town. You don't have to go home and sit down. And it just turns Rebirth into a totally different experience. So the gameplay itself is incredibly smooth. It's going to be not too dissimilar actually from the PS5 graphic mode where you had a lower frame rate. It's fantastic on the Switch, so it kind of feels like that. You're at 30 FPS for a lot of the game, but it looks fantastic. And as far as the visual, I really like what Square Enix decided to do here is instead of just trying to like ram all of the visuals and have like super aggressive pop-ins and everything, they actually took the time with this port, some of the details. So like if there's like 50 pieces of grass in this one scene, they're going to make it less pieces of grass in general, so it loads better and it looks better and they can focus on the details that matter. So I thought that was a really good choice, and again, it shows actually caring about the port. I was really impressed with that. And I mean, as far as the actual comparison to PS5 and Switch, I mean, especially in handheld, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing that much of a difference. To be honest with you, like, yes, if you really take a magnifying glass to it and hold up the two screenshots, you're gonna see subtle lighting differences, and you're gonna see some differences in the hair. If you like zoom into the hair on the Switch, you're gonna notice a little bit of fuzziness in pieces of the hair compared to the fidelity. But I want you to be careful when you look at a lot of the comparisons online. They're actually showing footage from the PlayStation 5 Pro, not the base PS5 model. So I want you to note that. A lot of people are being a little bit misleading with this. The PS5 Pro is a totally different beast, And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has an enhanced version of the PS5 Pro, so it's going to look like almost a different console. Huge jump in fidelity. As far as the PS5 base, it's very close to the Switch. Like I said, there's some differences just in the environmental. They'll like remove some of the, extremely detailed items from some of the sets very rarely. They'll move some grass around and kind of reassess the assets in the scene. But I mean, yeah, like sometimes the hair looks a little bit different, but it's incredibly close. And to play on handheld, guys, like, can you imagine like a few years ago if you could play like on your DS, an insanely awesome like PS3 game or something? It's kind of like the equivalent of that. So yeah, really, really amazing stuff. And I mean, the game's fantastic. If you haven't played it, it's got such an amazing narrative, such incredible characters that me and Aaliyah both love and have cosplayed, and we're just so into this story. And what I'm really excited for is people on the Switch who have not got to experience this yet, but they seem to be ramping up to a really exciting part 3 where everybody's going to get to play it. And it's going to be so awesome for all the fans to be able to come together and play part 3. At least that's my prediction. So yeah, I'm incredibly excited about this in general, and just for a lot of people who have just gotten into Remake part 1 of the trilogy on the Nintendo Switch 2. It's just what a great time to get all these games over, and it makes me think like there's so many other awesome Final Fantasy games, because the Switch is a really cool catalog. It has actually all the pixel remasters. So you have FF1 through 6, you have Original 7, you have 8 remaster. Fairly sure the 9 port is on there, and you have FF10 and you have FF12. So you have almost the entire catalog of Final Fantasy besides obviously the MMOs. 14's coming. I just saw it at Final Fantasy 14 Fan Fest. FF14's coming to Switch too. So we're just missing 15 and 16. Yeah, I can't wait for those ports. But anyways, just a little bit of sidetrack. I'm a big Switch enthusiast, and I mean, I say this all the time. Like, I played Resident Evil 9 on the Nintendo Switch 2. And that's the perfect sort of comparison I can give to this. Like, is the graphics on like PS5 Pro better, quote unquote, than the Switch 2? I mean, yeah, if you're looking at the two next to each other, you can see some more detail, you can see some really sophisticated lighting, but I can't stress enough, this sort of DLSS technology on the Switch 2 is so sophisticated. And it's just the sort of upscaling imagery that's happening here. It's so sophisticated that, I mean, yeah, Resident Evil 9 on the Switch 2 was incredible. And that's a brand new AAA game that came out like now, right? So that's the crazy part about it. Rebirth is from a couple of years ago. So it's really, really impressive. And I think it says a lot about the promise of the system that both of those games run so beautifully. And again, when you're in handheld, like, it's a smaller screen, you're not going to be really seeing as much of the detail difference at all. Like, if you're zooming in with a magnifying glass to look, that's one thing, but in actual gameplay, it's so beautiful and it runs like a dream. So anyways, that's just my comparisons of the Switch 2 version. A little bit different of a video just because, we would usually cover narrative and cinematics on this channel. It's a little bit more of a technical thoughts video, but absolute pleasure to play Queen's Blood, to be in Calm, and to have a good time. They actually offered that we could either play the beginning of Rebirth, or we could go ahead and check out the second chapter of Rebirth in Calm and playing Queen's Blood and everything. I opted to do that for my choice in the early preview, and yeah, chapter 2 was just amazing to see all the characters, to play Queen's Blood, to run around Calm in handheld form was just, yeah, I cannot stress enough, a really awesome experience. So I recommend, even to fans who played it on PS5, like, I could definitely see myself playing it again for my second playthrough on Rebirth. Again, like, if you're ever in the train station, if you're ever like wherever waiting for a plane or something, like, pop in Rebirth. It's handheld, so it's just such an amazing feature, and I think it just by and large is 100% worth any slight deviation from like the PS5 Pro version as far as details and everything. Like, can you play the PS5 Pro on a plane? No. So that's my point. It is so worth any of those small trade-offs for this just insane ability to be able to use it like that and enjoy the game and the story like that. So anyways, that's my sort of definitive answer. And I can't wait for you to check it out. I love Rebirth. If you haven't seen, I have covered this game at length. I have done numerous cinematic breakdowns, think pieces, video essays, you name it, talking about the characters, talking about the stories. I've got more on the way. I love this game. I think it's one of the best Final Fantasy games ever made. I think it's one of the best RPGs ever made. And to play it again handheld is one of the coolest things ever. But yes, thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you were thinking about getting Switch version of Rebirth, Switch 2 version of Rebirth, fully recommend it. Yeah, I enjoyed my time with it. I actually didn't want to stop playing at the preview event at Square Enix. So yeah, thank you so much, Square, for having me and Aaliyah. Always a pleasure to see all our awesome friends who work at the company and of course play the amazing games. But you guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to sub, and if you haven't, make sure to check out my narrative cinematic breakdowns of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth here in a playlist on my channel of Remake and all the other stuff we've covered. I've actually got a new video series coming about Final Fantasy VII characters, which is going to be something really new and different for the channel. So look forward to that if you're starving for FF content. And in the meantime, have a fantastic day. Make sure to sub. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Check out Rebirth on the Switch 2. There's a demo out now.